Anandam Paramasukadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Tandvatitam Gagana Satisham Tattvamasya Dilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Satgurum Tam Namami. Today, we would like to start by sharing 4 words with you.
Fairness,
dignity,
equality,
and respect. These 4 words are values human rights stand for. These 4 words are values Kailasa Nation stands for. Kailasa Nation, led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, stands for human rights.
With the blessings of the sovereign state of Sri Kailasa, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, we welcome each and every one of you on this very significant day. December 10 is Human Rights Day as declared by the United Nations.
Her Excellency Ma Vijayapriya Nityananda, Permanent Representative of the United Nations from Kailasa, as well as the delegates of Kailasa, Ma Nitya Katitananda, Ma Nitya Mahakatitananda, and myself, Ma Nitya Swatantra Priyananda, welcome each and every one of you on Human Rights Day, a day on which every single voice matters. This year specifically, December 10th, 2021, marks the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So let us first understand, what are human rights? Human rights are the moral principles or norms that describe certain standards of human behavior and are regularly protected as legal rights in municipal and international law. Now, one may ask, why should we all care about human rights? Why should we all choose to take the responsibility to stand up for human rights? Today, we give you 10 reasons as listed by Human Rights Career.
Reason number 1, human rights ensure people have basic needs met.
Reason number 2, human rights protect vulnerable groups from abuse.
Reason number 3, human rights allow people to stand up to societal corruption.
Reason number 4, human rights encourage freedom of speech and expression.
Reason number 5, human rights give people the freedom to practice their religion or not practice any.
Reason number 6, human rights allows people to love who they choose.
Reason number 7, human rights encourage equal work opportunities.
Reason number 8, human rights give people access to education.
Reason number 9, human rights protect the environment.
And reason number 10, human rights provide a universal standard that holds governments accountable.
So who is a bold human rights defender who, despite relentless assassinations on his person and character, has never wavered from his commitment to humanity? The answer is the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Jagadguru Mahasannidhanam, His Divine Holiness Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, was born January 3rd, 1978, to a devoted Adi Shaiva Vilarar family, to mother Lokanayaki Ammal and father Sri Arunachalam in the small town of Tiruvannamalai, Tamil Nadu.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the 1008th incarnation of Paramashiva as per Hinduism, recognized at the young age of 3 by his predecessors who are enlightened masters and adepts. Great rishis, munis, and siddhas, superconscious mutants, who know the science of superconsciousness as per Hinduism, predicted and recognized the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism as the incarnation of Paramashiva and Parashakti. Having an incarnation among us, guiding us, is a very rare happening and an extraordinary blessing. The last incarnation was Lord Krishna, who happened 5,000 years ago.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has revived Kailasa, the ancient Hindu civilizational nation. Kailasa, as it exists now, is the only Hindu nation and the first Hindu nation. Now born and practicing Hindus from around the world have a safe haven to practice their religion and lifestyle, free from the fear of persecution.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has made the science of power manifestation, yoga, and temple-based universities available for humanity, giving access to education for all.
The Sovereign Order of Kailasa, led by the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, and Nityananda Order of monks, nuns, and Hindu diaspora, are working for global peace and to give superconscious breakthrough to humanity. As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism tells all of us, life is for others. Let us go on contributing, contributing, contributing.
At just the age of 16, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was coronated to establish Sri Kailasa, the only Hindu nation, the first nation for Hindus worldwide. And in 2015, he was elected as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism by a congregation of over 1,000 Hindu leaders. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the spiritual leader of the 2 billion Hindu diaspora worldwide.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is coronated as the 233rd Guru Mahasannidhanam, or Pontiff of Kanchi Kailasa Sarvanyapitam, Tunde Mandala Adhinam.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the present 293rd Jagat Guru Mahasannidhanam, the Pontiff of Kailasonnata Shyamalapita Sarvanyapitam.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the present 23rd Guru Mahasannidhanam of Dharma Mukti Swargapuram Adinam and the 203rd Emperor of Suryavamsa Surangi Samrajyam.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, is the present Mahamandireshwar, or the supreme spiritual head of Mahanirvani Akhara, the largest apex Hindu monastic order.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is the 108th Acharya Mahamandaleshwara, the head for all spiritual leaders of Atal Akhada, which is the ancient apex body of Hinduism.
When it comes to human rights, what is the state of the world today? According to Human Rights Watch Report 2021, individuals and communities around the world still face human rights violations, such as social restrictions, discrimination and barriers for women and girls with disabilities, discrimination based on sexual orientation, forced eviction and illegal demolitions, human trafficking, abuse by security forces, violations of indigenous rights, children's rights, and women's rights, violence against women and children, and many more.
So let's now look at our world in data. What does it say? The following map, the map that you see on your screen, shows a global view of human rights violation from a scale of 0 to 10, where 10 is the worst. We can see that in 2014, the worst human rights violations measured on multiple bases, multiple variables includes press freedom, civil liberties, political freedoms, human trafficking, political prisoners, incarceration, religious persecution, as well as torture and executions, were all occurring in the regions of Central and South America, Africa, and Asia.
According to The Economist, the COVID-19 pandemic has led to worsening of quality of democracy and human rights in many countries such as China, Thailand, the Philippines, Sri Lanka, many countries in Africa, as well as in the United States and South America. 2020 was not a good year for human rights.
The 2021 report from the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, the USCIRF, details violations of religious freedom in countries and non-state entities, each of which are categorized in 3 separate lists. To be included on one of those lists, the country or entity must engage in or tolerate severe violations of religious freedom, violations which are systematic, ongoing, and egregious, such as torture, cruel or inhuman treatment or punishment, prolonged detention without charges, disappearance by abduction, and flagrant denial of life, liberty, or security. As we can see from this map, countries such as India and China, highlighted in the red, appear among the countries listed as particular concerns.
A recent example of the religious violence that flared up in India and Bangladesh are the recent deadly attacks during the Hindu festival. On October 15th, 2021, an angry mob attacked a Hindu temple in Comilla, Bangladesh. Since the first attacks, mobs have torched dozens of Hindu homes and vandalized temples and statues throughout the country.
Bangladeshi Hindus now live in fear following the multiple mob attacks. But let us not think this is of a recent activity. The atrocities against Hindus culminated back in 1971 in Bangladesh during the Bangladesh Liberation War. And it was a dark period for Bangladeshi Hindus as they became the victims of this horrendous genocide. The Hindu population is now less than 10%, which is half of the population 70 years ago. And according to BBC News report, October 2021, Hindus constitute less than 9% of Bangladesh's more than 165 million population. And though there have been several attacks on religious minorities in the past, community leaders say this is the worst large-scale mob violence against the community in the country's history. On October 21st, 2021, Human Rights Watch said the authorities should take immediate steps to protect Hindu religious minorities and prosecute those responsible, including members of law enforcement agencies, for unlawful violence. The UN resident coordinator, Mia Seppo, called for peace, stating that recent attacks on Hindus in Bangladesh, fueled by hate speech on social media, are against the values of the Constitution and need to stop.
The United Nations has published 5 reports from Kailasa Nation thus far, out of which 4 specifically expose the human rights violations committed against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the Adi Shaivite minority tradition, ASMT, particularly women and children. December 2nd, 2021 marks a very important day in history. On that day, Kailasa Nation was invited to take part in the United Nations second meeting, 14th session of the Forum on Minority Issues, to bring alarming human rights violations to the attention of the international community. Yes, Hindu minorities are being persecuted in India itself. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, the leader of the 2 billion Hindu diaspora worldwide, is being persecuted. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's persecution is a continuation of the 1,000 years long silent yet unabated Hindu genocide. The international community needs to know about it. So we would now like to share with the world the video that is making history and giving hope to the persecuted Hindu indigenous minorities worldwide.
Madam Chairperson, esteemed delegates and colleagues, I represent Kailasa Nation, led by Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Sri NITHYANANدا Paramashivam, which speaks on behalf of 2 billion Hindus around the world who do not have a voice representing them in these international forums. I want to specifically bring to light the attack on minority Hindu traditions. Hinduism, as people know, is not a single monolithic religion, but it's made up of thousands of unique enlightenment ecosystems, which are called sampradayas. In recent times, many Hindu gurus, Hindu minority traditions, and temples have come under attack by majority ideologies, and a large number of traditions have virtually disappeared. There has been no recognition of the attacks by international human rights groups, as in these cases, it is difficult for outsiders to distinguish the attackers from the attacked. For the past 10 years, the Kailasa Nation and SPH Sri NITHYANANDA Paramashivam have been attacked and silenced in India as a religious minority, as a linguistic minority, and because extremist elements are opposed to Kailasa's stance when it comes to the rights of women, including marginalized Dalit women and the rights of members of the LGBTQ and transgendered communities. In 2019, Kailasa approached the OHCHR presenting the case of persecution, and when this document reached the Indian media, a very well-funded defamation campaign was started by news sources which were supportive of the Union government, alleging treason and sedition on part of the Kailasa Nation. A number of false cases were subsequently registered against Kailasa leaders, and one of our university campuses for women in the state of Gujarat was razed to the ground in a matter of days by mobs along with the local government. Kailasa has since submitted a number of reports on the persecution to various forums available within the UN, but not much action has been taken. In June 2021, Kailasa made a submission on the attacks of ASMT women in the session by the UN Committee on Elimination of Discrimination Against Women on the Rights of Indigenous Women, and further submitted reports how to end femicide and on gender justice. Later in September, Kailasa's report on media disinformation in India, which is a big problem, was accepted by the Special Rapporteur for the right to freedom of opinion and expression.
For the past 27 years, the leader of the 2 billion Hindu diaspora worldwide, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, has contributed to the revival of Sanatana Hindu Dharma and its 10,000 lineages, and stood for the rights of women and LGBTQ+ communities. For this, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been a target of political and religious persecution, extrajudicial and mob lynching, assassination attempts, illegal imprisonment, torture, character assassination, degrading and inhuman treatment during illegal imprisonment.
Before we look at the specific examples of human rights violations perpetrated on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, it is important to understand how lawfare and media disinformation were and are still used as weapons against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Attacks on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism have been systematically planned, and the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has faced massive malicious prosecution. The attacks were blatant human rights violations. The malicious trial by media prosecution aimed at, number one, delegitimizing the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism by a hate propaganda, disenfranchising him of his civil and human rights, prejudicing him from fair representation and fair trial. Number two, pressing multiple false charges on the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism so that either he can be eliminated by custodial torture or illegally convicting him with life sentence. Number three, repeated illegal imprisonment with brazen torture, custodial assassination attempts. This lawfare was sustained by a media-manufactured hate propaganda. Number four, a well-planned, multi-layer false hate propaganda by the Fourth Estate media. This lawfare and propaganda made the public morally disengaged and insensitive to the dehumanization done to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The lawfare and propaganda made the public choose a state of willful ignorance to the persecution. The lawfare gave a platform for the anti-Hindus to engage in victim blaming and shaming. The lawfare justified bystander apathy of Hindus to their own genocide.
மீண்டும் போலீசாரால் கைது செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளார்.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism underwent a vicious trial by the media and was treated as guilty without any evidence of crime. He was then illegally arrested and detained. The first unlawful arrest of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism happened and took place on April 21st, 2010 in Solan, Himachal Pradesh, India. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, it was in illegal police custody from April 21st, 2010 to April 30th, 2010. Torture of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism took place under police custody in the CID office in Bengaluru, Karnataka, South India. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was also illegally arrested for a second time by the state government on June 14th, 2012, which you can see in this short clip. Based on the chief minister's fundamentally illegal order, the state police used brutal force while unlawfully arresting the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and his disciples were attacked by anti-Hindu terrorist elements who illegally trespassed and forcibly barged into the monastery premises and sexually assaulted the female monks and made violent murder attempts on monks and males of the and disciples of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Yet, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was faced with allegations of violation of peace and law and order. To seek anticipatory bail in the face of the false charges against him, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism approached the court, but was illegally arrested in the court premises. The High Court, in its order, implicitly exposed the state terrorism, where it termed the arrest as illegal, without any authority, contrary to law, and without jurisdiction. However, there were no repercussions for the state, And such instances continued until 2018, when the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was forced to withdraw from public life and illegally forced into statelessness by the denial of his natural citizenship and due to repeated illegal detentions, torture in custody, and assassination attempts. And yesterday, at the panel discussion for the International Day of Commemoration and Dignity of the Victims of Genocide and of the Prevention of Crime, we spoke about how the denial of one's citizenship is lawfare, is persecution, and an element of genocide, a complete violation of basic human rights.
Articles 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 27 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, the ICCPR, were blatantly violated multiple times by the state and even celebrated in media, adding to the trauma of physical and mental torture.
Article number 1, all human beings are free and equal.
Article number 2, no discrimination.
Article number 3, the right to life.
Article number 5, no torture and inhuman treatment.
Article number 6, same right to use law.
Article number 7, equal before the law.
Article number 8, the right to be treated fair by court.
Article number 9, no unfair detainment.
Article number 10, right to trial.
Article number 11, innocent until proven guilty.
Article number 12, right to privacy.
Article number 13, freedom to movement and residence.
Article number 14, right to asylum.
Article number 15, right to nationality.
Article number 17, right to own things.
Article number 18, freedom of thought and religion.
Article number 19, freedom of opinion and expression.
Article number 20, right to assemble.
Article number 21, right to democracy.
Article number 22, right to social security.
Article 27, right of cultural and art.
So today on Human Rights Day, we are telling the world about some of the illegal acts perpetrated against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, for which no one has been held accountable till date. During the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's illegal detainment from April 21st, 2010 till April 30th, 2010, police grilled the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. So what happened? Well, the police bombarded the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism with powerful lights and loud, shrill noises of tile cutting machine. This is how creative they were, because this was done to psychologically weaken him and make him give a false confession about a crime that never happened and he never committed. The grilling continued throughout the day and late night, where officers took turns, ensuring the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was never able to sleep, not for 1 minute. But it didn't stop there. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was subjected to third-degree torture, including induced asphyxiation, forced breathing of asbestos dust to cause mesothelioma, violent damage of internal organs, in the pretext of medical tests, injection of lethal poisons in blood tests, forced starvation, severe dehydration, and sleep deprivation, and multiple such attempts to assassinate the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in police custody.
Special room created for interrogation. The room was created for the single purpose of interrogating the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and never used again. The cell was fitted with special CCTV cameras, the footage of which was given to the media, which aired this video and published it on other websites. The footage had no audio, as most CCTV cameras record only video. The channel on their own added their own audio and subtitles. The entire media report was false and supported the unfair trial against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. Without any remorse, the channels maintained their stand and to date continue to host this video on their websites. Even several court orders have not stopped the media houses from aiding unfair treatments or trials against the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. We can also see the guidelines written by the instructions here on the bottom left by the Administration Officer, Director General of Police, CID Bangalore. He writes, also remember that most interrogation rooms are small and consist of nothing but a chair and maybe a table. Maybe the lighting real harsh and make the room real drab, unless you're going for a freaky effect like in The Matrix. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was illegally detained from April 21, 2010 to April 30th, 2010. And during that time, in the name of interrogation, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism experienced violation of numerous human rights violations from Articles 2 of the ICCPR, which is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. It is a multilateral treaty adopted by the United Nations General Assembly Resolution, Article 2 to Article 28. Actually, torture and abusive interrogation tactics are illegal under both United States law and international law. Even if those laws are changed, United States interrogators are still bound by the Constitution amendments for protection from torture.
The urine outlet from toilet was used to make the prison cell unlivable. The cells in which the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was confined for 53 days were in absolutely unhygienic, visibly inhuman conditions. The floor was filled with green algae and mold, with stagnant yellow urine water leaking from the sanitary installations from the adjacent cell and attracting mosquitoes. The walls were completely oily with an unknown pungent substance. His cell had no light, fan, or proper ventilation system to let in the fresh air. Eyewitnesses told the disciples that the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was often experiencing breathing issues and no medical support was provided. When the disciples requested for the change of cell, the prison officials told, "This is a palace for the dog who will die in another few days." The disciples begged the police to allow them to clean the prison cell, but the officers would neither have prison staff nor the disciples clean it. As a Hindu monk and leader of 2 billion Hindus worldwide, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, as per principles of Hinduism, lives the vow of inner and outer cleanliness, which was purposefully violated, especially to break the spirit of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism and the ASMT and core disciples of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism.
In police custody for over 8 days, more than 192 hours, 691,200 seconds. The CID ensured that neither food nor water was given to His Divine Holiness. The CID kept him hungry. The police even offered food, which was brought in a tiffin by the monks after taking court's approval, and enjoyed it for themselves, and replaced it with beef and other non-vegetarian items, and force-fed this to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, which is a direct violation of the religious beliefs of Hinduism, as the killing of any animals for food, especially that of a cow, whose divine mother is sacrilegious. And we can clearly see some of the violations when it comes to the sacrilegious violations against human rights. And these are all listed on the slide.
The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was denied the right to worship. The CID had actually taken the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's Rudraksha Mala, the rosary beads, which he had since childhood. It was given to him by his gurus, and had it with him even when he had walked over 6,000 kilometers throughout the length and breadth of India as a young traveling ascetic in his teenage. After the CID had forcefully taken his Rudraksha Mala, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism tore a long portion of his kavi, or the saffron cloth, and tied knots in it and made a rosary out of it. The Shyamala Pita Sarvanya Pita Madurai Adinam is the world's most ancient monastery that is still functional to this date. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism is its 293rd pontiff. Throughout the documented history of the monastery, which spans at least 3,000 years of worship to the sacred Shivalinga, has never even once been missed, even for a single day. However, during the 14 June 2012 illegal arrest, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was denied the right and responsibility to execute his core responsibility of offering daily worship to the Shivalinga. This broke the tradition which had even survived during the 1,000-year Hindu Holocaust perpetrated as the world's bloodiest genocide that killed more than 400 million Hindus. And as we can see here, in regards to the denial to the right to worship, many of the articles of the ICCPR were violated.
On April 29, 2010, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's passport was illegally impounded without any intimation or justification whatsoever. The illegal act violates the right to travel of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, preventing him from traveling. This human rights violation unlawfully restricts physical movement of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism. It unlawfully restricts the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism from seeking legal support, and it prevents the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism from meeting his devotees. This was done with the intention to leave the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism helpless and resourceless. This was executed with continuous assassination attempts to ensure his extermination in person and principle. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism was illegally exiled into statelessness by denial of natural citizenship. The illegal impounding of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism's passport on April 29, 2021 is in fact against the ruling of the Supreme Court of India. In Suresh Nanda versus CBI 2008, The Supreme Court of India ruled, point number 15, in our opinion, even the court cannot impound a passport. In Maneka Gandhi versus Union of India, 1978, the Supreme Court of India ruled, the right to travel abroad is guaranteed under Article 21.
Hinduism is pro-human rights. We would like to now share a few concrete examples of how Hinduism is pro-human rights and promotes values of non-violence and tolerance in its source scriptures. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states that, number 1, all human beings are free and equal. Hinduism not only promotes equality of all beings and all genders, it gives each one a unique place. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism allows both men and women to become monks and to serve equally in all capacities. In order to bridge the gender gap and to bring equal rights, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism actively initiates women into sannyas or monkhood and ordains them as priests in his monastic order, the Nityananda Sannyas Sampradaya. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism progressive vision has made him the target of vicious persecution by the neo-Hindutva extremists who despise women in monastic and priestly roles.
Example number 2, no discrimination. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, who is also the spiritual head of the Adi Shaivite minority tradition, the ASMT, has legitimized same-sex marriages as Hindu scriptures recognize the 11 genders. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has publicly declared himself to be transcendental gender and possessing multiple gender components. This is one of the reasons why the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism has been targeted by the neo-Hindutva extremists who see LGBTQ+ rights as immoral.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights states at Article 18, freedom of thought and religion. As the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism declared on November 27, 2021, Hinduism neither terrorizes nor converts. Hinduism embraces, empowers, enriches, enlightens. In Bhagavad Gita Decoded, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism beautifully explains that each one has the freedom to choose their path. Each one has the freedom to choose one's own God. Each one has the freedom to consider himself or herself as God as he or she realizes the divinity in himself or herself. Eastern traditions offer many choices. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism explains, if you are an intellectual person, then Shiva could be your choice, and you can continuously sit and meditate. If you are inclined towards devotion, then Vishnu could be your choice. The path includes singing and dancing like the great masters, Chaitanya and Mira. Just sing the glory of the Lord like the Aswars, devotional saints of Tamil Nadu, related with Vishnu. If you are inclined towards yoga, if you are a yogi, then Devi is the one for you. Meditate on her, offer worship and tantric practices.
Despite the relentless persecution done to the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, he continues day in and day out to contribute to humanity. As in Sanatana Hindu Dharma, life is for others. And as the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism beautifully shares, that we should go on contributing. So let us now look at this short but very inspirational video where the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism shares. Give love to yourself and to others more and more.
Giving love to yourself, giving love to others, more and more people, more and more situations, more and more beings. Giving love, taking intense decisions to enrich world, enrich others, Tyaga. Tyaga removes all the negativity from not only your mind, it removes negativity even from your intestine. The parasites, microbes from your intestine gets clean. Gets clean. When you start smiling at people, loving people, giving security to people, making people feel secured about you, with you, around you, you can learn this. If you observe my lifestyle, sincerely, intensely, you can learn this. Listen carefully. The only reason I am working, active, alive, continuously, my sincere tyaga, sacrifice, love. Last 26 years, we have a documented history of my life. See, my whole 43 years is the great tyaga, hard work of my gurus. But 26 years, we have documentation available. The work I am doing continuously active, alive, repeatedly. How many times people try to break me? Not only I don't get disturbed, not only I don't fight back with them, not only I don't vomit any violence or anger, disturb my identity due to them, I just make them irrelevant in my life and continuously work. Do what I need to do. If you study Nithyanandapedia, the whole documentation of my life, you will understand what I am saying. More than 26 years, sincere, intense work is just because of my simple love and simple dedication, sincere yaga. Not for name and fame. And actually, I did not get the name and fame. I only got blamed. I only got accused. I did not get name and fame. So nobody can say I worked because for name and fame. Who got name and fame? Last 10 years especially, being beaten left and right, accused, and assassination attempts, murder attempts, or any other. Every possible lawfare, cyberbullying, every possible problems were dumped on me. And whatever wealth gathered around me, the organization I built, everything was taken away from me. Everything was stolen and torn to pieces. I did not get anything. But still, I continue to work, and highly excited, highly inspired, intense, only getting more and more intense, sincere in my decisions, in my actions. I am taking my profession more and more seriously, my mission more and more seriously. Bring intense love to your being, you will have such high life energy.
So as we end today's presentation, a few key elements one should remember. Firstly, that religious minority rights are human rights, and that violation of the rights of Hindus is a violation of human rights. And it is because of the relentless and hard work of the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism in the revival of Kailasa, the only Hindu nation, risking his own life to protect persecuted Hindus worldwide, Hindu minority traditions now have a voice and an opportunity to be heard in international forums such as the United Nations. And despite the target being the target of the horrendous crime and human rights violations, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism continues to work for the betterment of humanity and for a violence-free Ahimsa world. We would like to sincerely thank you for tuning in to today's presentation as we honor the 70th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And let us take bold action in whichever form to ensure that human rights are protected. And as Hindus, let us do whatever we need to do with sincerity, with love, with excitement, intensity, and devotion. And let us continuously empower, enrich, and enlighten. We will now end with the Purna Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Bhagavat Shri Nityananda Paramashiva Padukar Pranamastu. Om Nityananda